In this video, you're going to learn the Dingman survival strategy for Halloween. Good morning, this is Elevate TV. I'm Dr. Craig Dingman. One of the things, if you're a parent, you're going to notice is that when the kids come back with their 3 pillowcases full of crappy candy after Halloween, they want to basically gorge themselves and eat candy like non-stop for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And there's no coincidence that November happens to be cold and flu season, especially for the kids. Well, it's not because the weather's changing. One of the biggest things is probably because they're eating way too much sugar, which is a massive assault on the immune system. People eat too much sugar, they get sick. First of all with colds and flus, but second of all with chronic degenerative disease. That's not going to apply to your kids because they're too young, but they will get colds and flus because they're eating too much sugar. And one of the things we did years ago, which I think is a bit of parenting genius that was passed on to us from more experienced parents. So when my son became about 5 or 6 years old and wanted to go out for Halloween with all of his friends, basically they'd come home, not maybe at 5 or 6 years old, but by the time he was 8, 9, or 10, they'd do mid-evening drop-offs. So he'd fill a pillowcase, run in, dump it on the floor, go out, fill another pillowcase. He'd have at least 2 drop-offs, and he'd have like 400, 500, 600 pieces of candy by the end of the night. And as healthcare practitioners, we'd look at it and we would just cringe. So when my oldest son was 5 or 6 years old, we started actually using this Dingman survival strategy for Halloween. So essentially, he would come home, he'd spread his candy out on the living room floor, go through it all, he'd categorize it, itemize it, and we'd say to him, okay, son, you can pick your top 12 items or 10 items, or you could choose 20 items, but give them a number of their favorite things that they can pick. And my son was amazing. He'd agonize over it. He'd go through and he'd finally pick these 12 items that were, probably the larger chocolate bars, his favorite bag of chips, those sorts of things. And he'd put those aside. And then the rest of the candy, he would count up. And I think back at the start, we paid him a nickel a piece and then 10 cents a piece. I'm not sure what the going rate would be now. I think we pay our kids 10 or maybe 25 cents a piece of candy. So they'd count out each individual piece of candy. And sometimes if there was a bag of candy, they'd open the bag so that they'd get more and their count would go up. But they'd meticulously count all these pieces of candy, and then we would buy their candy from them at 10 cents or 25 cents a piece or whatever, and then take that candy, and right then and there, as they handed us the candy, we'd hand them cold hard cash for their candy. The kids would be happy because they got to keep 10, 12, or 20 of their favorite pieces. Mom and Dad would be happy because we got to take that candy away from them, so they're not going to be sugar buzzed for the next 6 weeks. And they got a little cash. They loved it. And then we would actually take the candy, and most of it would actually go directly into the garbage. Dr. Shauna would probably pick 2 or 3 chocolate bars that she liked, and I would probably pick a bag or 2 of Doritos because I have a weakness for chips. But then the rest of it that night would just go straight into the garbage. And I'm not talking about like in a bag in the garbage that you could actually open and pick. No, it would be like I'd take a few things out of the garbage, throw it in, put crappy garbage on top, so I would not be inclined at all to touch it. And that is the Dingman Halloween survival strategy. We've done that since my oldest, who's now 18, was about 5 years old. We've done it with both my younger kids. Works every year. Try it. Be better for everyone's health and sanity. Dr. Craig Dingman, Elevate TV. Have a great Halloween.